Hello, everyone. Welcome back, and I hope you're well. And thank you for stopping by and leaving me some comments and interacting with me. It's Wednesday afternoon. I've just come back from work. I'm a bit exhausted. I would like to do different sorts of videos, but unfortunately, at the moment, I'm living between two houses, and I just don't have the mental energy to do some genre primers like gimme tens. But I want to do some. I've got some ideas. I'd like to do something on UK 80s pop, maybe sophisticpop, indie pop, just like ambient art pop. Kind of these kind of gimme tens just appeal to me at the moment because I'm listening to a lot of that stuff. Maybe some on maybe some electronic music as well. And I'm going to do a video on my thoughts, general thoughts on record collecting, music collecting, and that sort of thing. But at the moment, all I can do is a Revolutions installment. So that's all you'll get. And look, it's you can see how red I am. It's 30 something degrees here in Melbourne. It is very, very warm today. So without further ado, I'm going to show you some records. What I've been spinning in the past, couple of, week and a half. I'll start with Lee Hazelwood. Last year, I wasn't posting any videos, but I went on the kind of big Lee Hazelwood on the big Lee Hazelwood kick. And one of the albums that sort of struck a chord with me is 13, which is an album from 1972, I think, which is very much in the vein of sort of country soul, country funk, lots of like funky drums, baroque arrangements, very sort of soulful, obviously, and Lee Hazelwood is known for his kind of raspy, soulful kind of voice. And this is a really great album. This is a reissue on Light in the Attic, which you can pick up for cheap. It's not essential by any means, but I really like this record, and I would recommend it if you like. If you're into Bobby Gentry or Tony Joe White, as I am. I love Tony Joe White and Bobby Gentry. This is really fits really nicely in that sort of box. I'll continue with another folk-ish. No, this is not a folk album at all, but it's a country album. More. But here's a folk album which I picked up in London last year. I was in London for a week, and I was walking through Spitalfields Market near Liverpool Street, and there was a little record fair there, which I had no idea, and so I spent a couple of hours. And there I found a copy of this Barry Dransfield solo record, also I think from 1972. Barry Dransfield is a fiddle player, singer, songwriter who used to be in the band Morris On, English folk band with Richard Thompson. And this is his solo effort, very mournful. Covers Michael Hurley, the werewolf. He covers David Ackles on this. It's just a lovely collection of folk tunes, English folk tunes. If you're into Sandy Denny, if you like Richard Thompson, if you like Fairport Convention, to a point Pentangle, this will be really right up your alley. It's probably one of the more obscure kind of items from the times, but nonetheless very worthwhile. Continuing with a little bit of folk, this time more like soul folk. We went country, we went British folk, UK folk. This is a US soul folk number. This is Norma Tanaga. I'm the Sky, studio and demo recordings, 1964, 1971. Norma Tanaga was a Californian singer-songwriter, very much kind of a cross between Dusty Springfield and Terry Callier, I want to say, kind of in that kind of box. She was an activist, a painter, a musician, a teacher. She released a cult record in 1966 called Walking My Cat Named Dog, which is quite well known. And this gathers lots of those songs along with some demo recordings. If you like soul folk, highly recommended, beautiful records. Norma Tanaga. And it came out last year, so you can still get this quite easily, I would say. I was discussing Melia, the French artist who just released this magical double bass record, and he even posted a comment on my feed. And this prompted me to revisit Francois Rabat, French Egyptian double bass wizard. So if you like Henri Texier and you've listened to all the Henri Texier that you can take, this is your next best step. This guy, classically trained double bass player, and he also plays the saz, which he layers on top of his double bass, and he plays it with a bow, as you can see. 1977 on the fantastic French label Moshe Naim, which is a label that is underrepresented in these vinyl or music videos that we all seem to make. Chris Cole is I think is a huge fan of Moshe Naim. This is a killer record from back to front. Very, very deep, spiritual, instrumental, Middle Eastern tinged music. I'm going to show you some CDs as well. So in the same vein as Sazmorphosis, I played A Meeting by the River, Riku, and Bats on bottleneck guitars and other Indian instruments such as the tabla, and there's a dumbek there, and it is one of the best things Riku has appeared on. I can tell you I've got most of Raiku's solo discography, and this is up there really, and this is a beautiful, beautiful record. Very, very highly recommended. From 1993, Uber Eats. East meets West, which, it's a beautiful fusion. If you like those Ravi Shankar records where he plays with Yehudi Menuhin, that's a kind of, you're in that sort of ballpark. While some CDs, I'll show you another couple of CDs that I've been playing here and there. Oh, this is very cool. David Chesworth Ensemble, Badlands. Talk about David Chesworth in my last video. He was the founder of Essendon Airport, the cult Aussie post-punk, lo-fi post-punk, synth, minimal wave band from Melbourne, and this is his modern classical efforts. His channels is inner Philip Glass on this. It's very orchestral, minimal, fabulous record. 1998. David Chesworth. There he is. I'm going to talk about a little bit of post-punk and a little bit of sort of 80s kind of fare. Here is a Nits with Giant Normal Dwarf. Nits, a band from Holland, which fits in the kind of indie pop, sophisti-pop sort of mold, They're led by Robert Van... His name escapes me right now. What's the Robert Van Stips? No, Robert Jan Stips on keyboard. Yeah, I've got 2 or 3 Nits records. In the Dutch Mountains is also a really great record, but this is for sort of like 80 or actually this is 1990. For very early 90s indie pop, this sounds phenomenal. It's a really nice record. Not sure that you could come across this that easily. But I bought this a fair few years ago, and I don't play it all too often. And sort of prompted to play this. I think I was watching a video by Stefan73, and that reminded me of my Nits records. Um, you could fit them in the same box. A lot of like sort of UK indie pop bands, like I don't know, the Monochrome Set, or the House of Love. They've got kinds of similar kind of aesthetics. The Wedding Present. Um, Classic OMD. I think the debut record with Electricity, notably produced by Martin Hannett, Adam McCluskey, and Paul Humphreys. One of the very best UK synth pop records ever made. 1980. A very, very essential, crucial piece on the Liverpool scene, OMD, and I highly recommend this and Architecture and Morality, as well as Dazzle Ships, which is probably their masterpiece. I was spinning this great synth pop, and then it led me to spin to rediscover the debut Echo and the Bunnyman, which is called Crocodiles, which is to me absolute classic, one of my favorite records of that style ever. Every song is just like delivering, to me. I think I've listened to it that many times that I think, you get in sort of like, almost nostalgic mode with some of these songs. Going Up, Stars Are Stars is a favorite of mine. Monkeys, Crocodiles, things like Rescue and Pictures on My Wall. It's astonishing record from start to finish. From I think 1980. Beautiful. Echo in the Bunnyman. Staying with post-punk. Here is a lesser-known post-punk album by Maximum Joy. Maximum Joy, band from Bristol. This is called Station MXJY, so Station Maximum Joy, in other words. Band from Bristol. This is their soul debut album from 1982, which was originally released on I think 72. I don't know what was the original. I think it was on Z Records or something like that. Originally, you can look it up. I'm not an encyclopedia of music. You can look it up yourself. Anyway, this is like, and I'm quoting an online. I was reading about Maximum Joy, and I think some kind of reviewer said that they were like the Slits backed up by the Gang of Four, which, you get the spirit. It's kind of like punk funk with female vocals. It's led by Janine Rainforth, singer there, and it's got a lot of kind of punk funky kind of very danceable kind of groove. I love this. This is fabulous. If you do like the Slits, this would be interesting to you. The Slits, or as I said, the Gang of Four, or Perubu, or these kinds of angular post-punk bands. And another female-fronted kind of post-punk as well record is Mambo Nasser by Lizzie Mercier Desclous, the French New Yorker. All of the records are sort of interesting to me. This obviously was recorded at Compass Point. I think features Wally Badarou on keys on this, and I mean I think for me it's the best album. It's the best thing that she's done, with funky stuff on it, and songs like Payola and Five Troubles Mambo. Yeah, it's really, really great album. It really typifies the sound of the New York underground in the late 70s, early 80s. If you think of the Tum Tum Club and Glenn Branca and the Talking Heads and these kinds of band, the fusion of ideas, Lizzie Mercier Desclous is really on that line. talking. I've talked all day long, and I'm still talking. Here is a fantastic album, Antenna, Camino del Sol, which is the reissue on Numero Group. This is an absolutely essential kind of like French Belgian new wave with a touch of bossa nova kind of. It's a bossa new wave kind of record, and they look like the quintessential French hipsters when you like French Belgian. Like, you know, you look at them, you could be like, it could be this photo could have been taken like last week somewhere in a cool area of any big city. You know, like in Melbourne, I see people looking exactly like this. It's just beautiful. It reminds me a little bit of like the early Everything But the Girl records. You know, like these guys, Isabel Antenna, her voice so compelling. And so that album came out in 1980. I want to say 81, 82. I think 82, but it was reissued quite a few years ago. This is a reissue that I've had for years now. Quite a few years ago, in 2009, reissued. And you can still get this. I mean, it's not something that's rare or anything, but it's kind of, yeah, post-punky, new wavy, but fused with, you know, a sort of, bossa sensibility, you know. What else am I going to show you? Okay. I've got a few CDs and then I'll move on to some classical and jazz there. Here is an absolute underrated, I don't know if it's underrated, but this is to me one of those kind of a future classics of like music in general. This is Jane Weaver, The Silver Globe. Jane Weaver is a Manchester artist. She reminds me in many ways of a one-woman Stereolab. That's what the sound is. Very much like, very influenced by, you know, Can and sort of like 60s modular synths. Stereolab and Broadcast really did come to mind straight away. However, this produced by her husband Andy Votel from Finders Keepers is an absolute classic from back to front. What a great record this is. If you've never heard Jane Weaver, The Silver Globe, you're missing out. It's a very, very good record. Came out in 2014, and just listen to the opening track, The Silver Globe. Mind blowing. John, 6-inch pianist from Birmingham, where I used to live once upon a time, was showing in one of his videos Nixon by Lamb Chop on wax, and I've got this I've had this on CD forever and ever, and I thought, I haven't played this for so long. 2000 sort of country, or old country, but very sort of very orchestrated, lots of very orchestral Baroque country kind of arrangements on this. Very, very, very good record, Nixon. If you haven't heard it, or if you've got it and you've forgotten about it. I was playing Roxy Music, Flesh and Blood. Not their best effort, but quite interesting nonetheless, you know, kind of their sort of art pop phase, you know, after Avalon and that kind of thing. No, that is just before Avalon. Sorry, 1980. Yeah, well, in the same kind of vein. Avalon is more fully formed, obviously, but this is a nice record. I'm not sure if I'm into the covers of Midnight Hour and 8 Miles High, but I still think it's a really nice record. And the last CD I've got there is Artificial Intelligence, which is the seminal electronic EDM, IDM compilation on Warp, which was just reissued on vinyl recently. So this is essential, you know, like flat chat essential. This was just reissued on Warp on vinyl. This has got like things like Polygon Window, Aphex Twin obviously is behind that. Speedy J, Oteka, very, 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 very important sort of early electronic music, 90s electronic music compilation. Okay, I'm going to continue and I'm going to talk about a little bit of classical music and a little bit of jazz, and I'll try not to go over time. On Sunday morning, I like to wake up to some classical music, and this Sunday, I pulled out my Speaker's Corner box set of the six string quartet by Bela Bartok, the Juilliard string quartet. My God, this is it's as good as music gets, really. It is, we talk about music that is spiritual, seminal, essential. We talk about John Coltrane, and we talk about Miles Davis or Philip Glass or no, God knows what, Bob Marley, eh, but we sort of dismiss sometimes that the fact that some great composers did it all beforehand, and these records are a dime a dozen. I mean, this is not obviously a cheap version of this record, but it's a really nice sounding one, and something that I bought during lockdown. I think I bought this, but I don't regret. I don't regret at all. It's a beautiful, beautiful set of string quartets. Okay, moving on. A revisit of Deadless. Deadless. I'll show you the name of the band there. Deadless. They were a jazz rock band from Italy, from the 70s. And on this, they really, it's number one is it's a killer record. I mean, this record is from back to front is amazing. It's jazz rock of the highest order, but it really gets you to a sort of a soft machine kind of, at the core. It's very Canterbury prog, Canterbury jazz. So if Robert Wyatt's your thing, if Egg and Caravan, that's your thing, then you're in for a treat. It's a beautiful record. I think it's just self-titled, Deadless, the Italian soft machine. Superb record, and I think some people would know this record. It's not something that I pull out very often, but it's nice too. Some classic jazz. Obviously, this is super classic. My Point of View, Herbie and Donald Byrd, Monker and Hank Mobley and Grant Green and Tony Williams. I have a personal theory that every record, especially Blue Note, every Blue Note record on which you have Tony Williams as a drummer is a great record. And you can check. It's a theory that works really well. And this early Herbie Hancock on Blue Note is essential. This is the Tone Poets version of the record, which sounds amazing, and you can get for a reasonable price. I don't fancy my chances of getting an original of this, but this is great, sort of post bop. It's a masterpiece. It's a must-have. Some spiritual-ish jazz. I was revisiting this Illuminations by Alice Coltrane and Santana. I don't know if it's the greatest record ever or anything. It's kind of interesting. The guitar playing is certainly, something to keep you on your toes. Alice Coltrane's contributions, are they really evident on this? I don't know. I think it's more like a Santana record to me. But it's a lovely record nonetheless, and it's cheap heat. It's something like you can get for nothing, really. I mean, you could. There was a time where you could buy this for next to nothing, and it's it's really great record. So it's really nice. I revisited Lloyd McNeil with Asha. Lloyd McNeil was an American. I think he's no longer with us. American flautist who has released a lot of beautiful flute jazz records. I don't even know how to describe this. I'm tired, I've been talking for a while. This is a very funky, you've got Lloyd McNeil on piccolo and flute, Gene Rush on piano, Steve Novosel on bass, and Eric Gravatt on percussion, plus some Latin percussion. You know, it's a funky flute jazz record. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just really excellent. 1969. Take a listen yourself. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I was spinning my original copy of Karma on Impulse. I know there's been a acoustic sound. I hear it's amazing, and quite frankly, I'm sort of tempted due to the fact that this one has got a few skips on it, which makes But I don't know. I like this record, but I don't know if I love Karma. It's kind of I've got a funny kind of like love relationship with this record. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I just like it. Nonetheless, it's a classic from the Impulse catalog. It's got 2 tracks. The creator has a master plan in colors. Features the great Leon Thomas on yodeling. You know Karma, I'm not going to talk about it. It's spiritual jazz. A couple more. You have this, which I picked up in Germany a while back, the Jazz Rock United Jazz Rock Ensemble. Look at the lineup. John Heisman, Eberhard Weber, Wolfgang Dahner, Volker Kriegel, Ian Carr, Barbara Thompson, Charlie Mariano, Albert Mangelsdorf. My God, that's it's a great jazz fusion band. I don't know if anyone's ever shown this apart from me. It's a great jazz fusion band, like a mostly German jazz fusion band, but with some English imports. And I'm going to finish with a pair of classics. Andy Bay, Experience and Judgment, the great soul singer Andy Bay. This is total classic, 1974 Cosmic Soul records. I won't say too much about it, and I'll finish off with one of my favorite conscious hip hop records, Jasmatazz, Guru, and Roy Ayers, and Donald Byrd, and Ronnie Jordan. You get so many. Lonnie Liston Smith, and one my personal favorite, MC Solar, the French rapper, on the Le Bien, Le Mal, and the second last track. Just beautiful stuff. If you like Tribe Called Quest, things like that, De La Soul, that's in the ballpark. All right, I'm gonna stop talking. I mean, you can check out the records yourself. I don't know if I was very helpful. I'm very hot as well, so I will see you on the other side. Leave me some comments, and I hope you got some joy out of this. Cheers.